that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
You know. Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me, I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like I ain't.
Peace, family, peace. What's going on? It is your brother. It's your host of the Campaign TV show, Brother King Cam, man, and I'm good to be happy to be back on deck, man, with the podcast going live, family. So I need everybody to like, subscribe, hit that bell so you can stay notified each and every time we drop a video. And make sure if you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can get on the text thread by texting the word podcast to 404-737-1030. Again, you can subscribe to the podcast by getting on the text thread so that you can get the link directly to your phone. You can get any updates or anything like that concerning the podcast if you text the word podcast to 404-737-1030. So tonight, what we want to discuss is we want to talk about reparations. We want to talk about the midterms. We want to talk about a lot of the different things that's been going on. The Revolt Summit was just this past weekend, and they had a couple of panels on the Revolt Summit that dealt with reparations, that dealt with a lot of talking points and a lot of the issues in our community. And I wanted to do a recap of that as well as give some of my thoughts and perspective as it pertains to what's going on in the community and what we could be doing to move forward, family. So again, I want to thank everybody for being in the building tonight. I need, again, you to like, I need you to subscribe to the channel, and I need you to hit that bell so you can stay notified every time we go live. And in the process of doing that, I'm going to share out the link on my phone so that we can get as many people into the building as possible. So if you want to help us out with that, you're more than welcome to do so. Please take the link and share it to all those who may be interested in this conversation. I'm going to drop this record while we're sharing out this link to the people by Brother Ben X. It's called 400 Years. And after that, man, we'll get right into the show.
You don't tell the white man that you're willing to go back and cut no underbrush. We already did that once. If we have to do it again, that's not progress. Hell no. Get out of the cities and the towns that we helped you build. Go and find some other state to move in. You move out, we move in. Now wait a minute. You say, oh, come on, Farrakhan, that's a pipe dream. Well, damn, you better put it in your pipe then.
400 years we've been lacking reacting. Ain't no more lacking reacting. We standing up now, we up at it, we at you. Now I go get it and stack it. Waking up now, we don't need no more trapping. Cause we know these niggas acting. They talk about guns, we know that they capping. We know they got it all rapping. 400 years we've been lacking reacting. Ain't no more lacking reacting. We standing up now, we up at it, we at you. Now I go get it and stack it. Waking up now, we don't need no more trapping. Cause we know these niggas acting. They talk about guns, we know that they capping. We know they got it all rapping. The youth don't need a stunt double. Introduce them to the real thing. Gotta tell them about the hidden hand. Real talk, that's the real pain. Introduce you to the white man. Think you made it, that's the real pain. Then I let you see a white snake and you can't see they the same thing. Get your bread, yeah, build your business. Hidden hand in the same lane. Keep a slaves in a small cell. Tell a young nigga bang bang. Shoot first, ask questions later. Two brothers in the same game. Fuck that like fuck crack. Big dog like a Great Dane. 400 years we've been lacking reacting. Ain't no more lacking reacting. We standing up now, we up at it, we at you. Now I go get it and stack it. Waking up now, we don't need no more trapping. Cause we know these niggas acting. They talk about guns, we know that they capping. We know they got it all rapping. 400 years we've been lacking reacting. Ain't no more lacking reacting. We standing up now, we up at it, we at you. Now I go get it and stack it. Waking up now, we don't need no more trapping. Cause we know these niggas acting. They talk about guns, we know that they capping. We know they got it all rapping. 400 years in a living hell. Break chains, gotta break free. Do for self like Elijah said. Fire him before he fire me. Eat good, he the man of God. Ain't falling for the vaccine. Up late, playing, plotting freedom. Still building, no caffeine. Better tune in to Farrakhan, cause this here is a marathon. Build now, getting real now. Witness the fall of Babylon. Black man, you the first man. Getting tricked by mankind. If we unite and rise up, we'll win every damn time. 400 years we've been lacking reacting. Ain't no more lacking we acting. We standing up now, we up at it, we action. Now I go get it and stack it. Waking up now, we don't need no more trapping. Cause we know these niggas acting. They talk about guns, we know that they capping. We know they got it all rapping. 400 years we've been lacking reacting. Ain't no more lacking we acting. We standing up now, we up at it, we action. Now I go get it and stack it. Waking up now, we don't need no more trapping. Cause we know these niggas acting. They talk about guns, we know that they capping. We know they got it all rapping.
Pay me for my pain, yeah, pay me for my tears. Pay me reparations for all 400 years. All my people struggled and all my people feel. And now we come and taking everything while we give it some.
Yeah, family. Yes, that is Brother Ben X and the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, 400 years. Hey, man, you want to check out that record, man? Slide over to Brother Ben X on Instagram, man. He got the link for his movie. You can, link for his music over there. You can listen to that over there. So, we want to jump right into the discussion, which is about reparations and the midterms and everything like that. So, anybody who is been listening to anything that's been going on, if you have been tapped into anything that's been going on recently, you've been seeing the commercials. They done picked up where they, left off every election cycle, where they coming with the commercials. Now you see them talking about the gubernatorial races. So they're running for governors in different states. And that's very important, right? The state level elections are very important to what goes on in your particular state. So this is something that we need to be paying attention to. And what you're seeing is a lot of pieces on the chessboard being made, because what is being done in the state level elections and what's surrounding the state level elections is moves for the bigger play on a federal level. Moves for the bigger play on a federal level. So we have to make sure that we cognizant of what's going on, and we're making sure that we understand what is really happening at this particular point. Now, we know that reparations is a hot topic. It's been gaining more momentum recently in the last couple of years, as different so-called leaders and organizers and things have been bringing that to the table as a speaking point. And something that needs to definitely be looked at, because what a lot of people don't understand is that America actually did a case study. And this is the problem that I have when people want to talk about looking at reparations. It was already a commission that looked at what is wrong with America, which justifies our right for reparations. I want you to hear what I'm about to say, family. So I need you to make sure that you like, subscribe, and I need you to share this link out. But America has already did a poll. America has already did a report on this. They've already did the research on what actually is wrong in America as it pertains to black people that live in it. There literally is a study that says that America has been divided into two. There's a white America and there's a black America. United States commissioners have already put this in writing. Matter of fact, let me pull it up, family. Let me pull it up, because it's something called the Kerner Commission. And this is not what I hear a lot of people bringing up. I don't hear this brought up enough. So let me bring it up, because it's very important. Because the Kerner Commission was a report that was done in 1968, as it talked about the conditions of the United States of America. Now, this is following the 1967 riots of Detroit, New Jersey, a couple of other places, right? Check this out. All right. 1968 Kerner Commission report. This is very, 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 very important. On July 28, 1967, the President of the United States established this commission and directed that commission to answer the three basic questions. What happened, as it talks about the riots? Why did it happen? And what can be done to prevent it from happening again? So in the summer of 1967, racial disorder in a bunch of different American cities, right, gave way to a riots. And it was about a 2-week period in July in Newark, New Jersey, and in Detroit that had really big riots in the communities. People set fires. There was all type of stuff that was going on. And this is what they state was their basic conclusion of the whole thing. After they looked at the riots and then they did a deeper dive into what were the environmental living conditions of the people who rioted, what was going on at that time, societally wise, politically wise, economically wise, which would lead people to have a mindset to even behave in this type of manner. And they said that this is our basic conclusion. Our nation is moving towards two societies, one black, one white, separate and unequal. This is what they said. I'm gonna show y'all right here. It says it. This is our basic conclusion. Our nation is moving towards two societies, one black, one white, separate and unequal. Now, reaction to last summer's disorders has quickened the movement and deepened the division. Discrimination and segregation have long permeated much of American life. They now threaten the future of every American. This deepening racial division is not inevitable. The movement apart can be reversed. Choice is still possible. Our principal task is to define that choice and to press for a national resolution. So they understand that America is separate and unequal in its two societies, white and black. I want us to really understand what's going on, right? Yeah, shout out to the Kerner Commission. Shout out to the Kerner Commission for getting it right. So this is what I don't see enough of being talked about on these reparation panels, because when you talk to liberals such as Stacey Abrams or any other liberals that reparations is brought to, there's always like, hey, I believe we should have reparations, but we need to have a conversation about it. There's no need to have a conversation about reparations when there was already a conversation about reparations done in 1968. So what else are we going to talk about other than what has happened from then until now? And because of our inability to act on that report, then you see what's going on in 2022. So come on, let's talk about this, because this is important. I'm going to show y'all this picture because this is the Kerner Commission. This is a picture of the Kerner Commission. These people right here, all of these people in the White House are those who were a part of putting this commission together. So those who want to say that, we are the ones who are putting this, who put this information out, that's not true. See, white people, the United States of America herself, the United States government has identified the issues within America. She's identified the issues within her walls. She understands, she used the language that America is headed into two separate societies, one black, one white, separate and unequal. Those are her words, not mine. Those are her words, not mine. And it says here, as commissioners, we have worked together with a sense of the greatest urgency and have sought to compose whatever differences exist among us. Some differences remain, but the gravity of the problem and the pressing need for action are too clear to allow further delay in the issuance of this report. So what they're saying is they actually put this report out earlier than the time frame allotted for them to put this out. because they understood the urgency of the time. So I think that's very important. And let me get to the part where they really get into what's going on. So they break down what happened in Newark, what happened in Detroit, right? They talk about, they get into detail as to the patterns of each incident that broke out. They get into detail of what was happening, who are the demographics of each person that was involved. They got a lot of detail in this. They have a lot of detail in this. So when people say we got to have a discussion, my reaction is about what? Did you not read the Kerner Commission? It has everything in there that you need that justifies our demand for reparations. Everything you need is in the Kerner Commission. Let me keep scrolling down to talk about some of these things right here, right? Oh, keep going down. Aha, here we go. So it says, the basic causes for the riots in 1967. Very important. It says, in addressing the question, why did it happen? We shift our focus from the local to the national scene, from the particular events of the summer of 1967 to the factors within the society at large that created a mood of violence among many urban Negroes. Now, the beautiful thing about the Kerner Commission and the information that they have in this report in 1968 is because the societal conditions that existed in 1968 exist in 2022. I'm going to say it again. The societal conditions that existed in 1968 at the time that this report was produced exist today in 2022. So if you are one of those people that believe we have made progress since the time of the Kerner Commission in 1968, which was amid the civil rights movement, you have been under a rock. You have not opened your eyes to what really has been going on in America. The only subtle change that the enemy made was that they made their actions and they made their moves more covert than overt. They made their moves because, see, in the 50s, before then, in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, they was very overt in their positioning as it pertains to the so-called Negro in America, as it pertains to black people in 2022. I'm going to be into changing those terminologies so you can make sure that you understand that the time frame, the time is still the same. The conditions of society is still the same. So in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s, they was very overt. The Klan didn't have no problem rocking their hoods. They didn't mind saying how they really felt about the Negro. You understood what was happening when you went down into the deep South and how dangerous it was. How they had black codes and, how they had sundown towns. And we already had the bombing and the burning of Black Wall Street. We already had the Birmingham church bombing. So black people were very, very familiar and knew where they stood in America, juxtaposed the white Americans. Opposite the white Americans, we knew exactly what our place was and exactly where we stood in America at that time. They were very, very overt in their approach. We understood that. The small change that they made was after that time, they went from being overt to covert. They went from being overt to covert. So what they did was they took the overt white supremacy and the overt white racism, and then they converted it into democratic liberalism. They took the overt white supremacy and white racism, and then they made it covert into Democratic liberalism. And that's how they were able to sneak past a lot of you, because we haven't kept our eyes open to what's going on, kept our eyes open to the signs. And this is why we keep telling people, especially in the black grassroots media, that the Democrats are covert your enemy, because they're not going to be overt in their opposition to anything that's pro-black. They're not going to be over in there. They're not going to overtly object to it. They're going to, hang out with a lot of black celebrities around election time. They're going to make sure they go to all of the largest black media platforms to make their presence known. One election year, I believe it might have been 2016, or might have been the year before, the 4 years before that, 2012, I believe, where Hillary Clinton visited the Breakfast Club and whipped out hot sauce out of her purse because Beyonce had put a song out and she talked about how important hot sauce was. So these are the different things that white supremacists, the open enemy, will do in order to covertly gain your trust and then double cross you in the end. So the lessons teach us on how we was actually tricked, how our family, right? How our brothers and sisters on the mother continent was approached by a traitor who wanted to, get them to come and work and earn some money. You understand me? Give them an opportunity to earn some money, and in exchange for their time, they would obviously obtain some riches. Not that we needed it, but it was an opportunity. But this is the caveat. The caveat was that we didn't know that we was going to be 9,000 miles away from home. You understand? We didn't know that when we was going to hang out with these people on the guise of taking an opportunity to be better, we was actually being duped. We was actually being tricked, family. And this is how they were able to gain the trust of the Africans and start to have Africans sent over there to the quote unquote new world and to be with these pale individuals, not knowing that our people was going to a literal hell, that our people was being sent to a literal hell, because the people you were dealing with are the liars by nature. As a matter of fact, their father was a liar in the beginning. This is what Jesus talks about in the book of John. And that they are of the father of lies. This is what the scripture talks about. So they never changed their pattern of behavior. They did it with the Native Americans. They came in talking to the Native Americans, trying to be all nice, and gain the trust of the Native Americans. Mind you, because we don't have these type of, at that time, we didn't have these type of deceitful people around us. So all we knew was, how can we help somebody else out? How can we make sure that they have the same benefits that we have? So the Native Americans showed them how to till the land, showed them how to be able to make as much of from the land as they most possibly could. And what did they do in exchange after the Native Americans gave them so much value, brought them in, told them how to make medicines from the earth, told them how to season their food properly? What did they do? They turned around and double-crossed the Indians, the Native Americans, gave them smallpox and blankets, gave them all type of diseases that they came to the land with from Europe, and did all of these wicked things, stole the land from them, and then put them on reservations. This is what they did. They're liars. They're liars. The only difference is now they wear suits and lie. And they claim to be Republicans or Democrats, and they lie. But specifically dealing with the Democrats, they act like they're your friend, but they're lying to you in order to gain your trust. This is how you end up with Biden as president, because he lied about what he planned on doing on behalf of student loan debt relief. He lied. He said he was going to be able to handle the pandemic. He lied. I have no interest in being able to curb anything as it pertains to the pandemic and stop people from getting sick and all of this type of stuff. He lied. People have YouTube clips of the things that he said on the campaign trail that he made, that he ended up saying something totally different after he got in office. He lied. He's a liar. Trump, big liar. You see how they do him? Fact checking him. He lied all the time. The minister said the man has liarrhea. Not diarrhea. He has liarrhea. Meaning he lies so much it's uncontrollable. He has no control of it. It just all fall out. It just flow out. Every time he opened his mouth, he lying about something. So, Brother King Cam, what does that have to do with the reparations? Has everything to do with reparations, because we have to, number one, we have to understand our enemy. And we have to understand that the people that we going to and we talking to about reparations are liars, they're thieves, they're murderers, they're kidnappers. This is everything that they are. So we have to always keep our eyes open for the game when we in negotiations with these individuals about what it is that they owe us, because it's a lot that they know that they refuse to acknowledge is something called benign neglect. They're going to act like they don't know anything about it, so they can't be held accountable. This is why I wanted to go to the Kerner Commission, because the Kerner Commission report says blatantly what's going on, and that America is very well aware of what has taken place. So they cannot benign neglect us, because we got the proof right here that they already know. So let me read some of this from the Kerner report as well, as it pertains to why did the riots happen in 67 and why our riots have been happening all the way up until today. The social climate and environment is still the same, family. Still the same. So I need everybody who's checking in right now, I need you to hit that thumbs up. I need you to share. I need you to make sure you hit that bell so you can stay notified each and every time we drop a video. So look, check this out. It says, race prejudice has shaped our history decisively. It now threatens to affect our future. This is in the Kerner Commission. I'm going to say it again. Race prejudice has shaped our history decisively. It now threatens to affect our future. White racism is essentially responsible for the explosive mixture which has been accumulated in our cities since the end of World War II. Among the ingredients of this mixture are pervasive discrimination and segregation in employment, education, and housing, which has resulted in the continuing exclusion of great numbers of Negroes from the benefits of economic progress. Is this not what we have been saying? Is this not what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been teaching us? Is this not what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us about the open enemy? Is this not what Brother Malcolm X taught on? Is this not at the end of Dr. King's life what he was talking about when he was planning on galvanizing the people for economic withdrawal? Why? Because we're spending our money with them, but they're not trying to give us equal opportunity for economic progress. And not only are they not giving us equal opportunity for economic progress, these people have decided that they are going to continue to exclude large numbers of black people from benefits of economic progress. Not only are you knowingly ahead of the game on purpose because of 300 years of chattel slavery, but you're going to also continue to exclude great numbers of Negroes from the benefits of economic progress. So it says pervasive discrimination and segregation in employment, education, and housing. This is what we've been talking about. Family, we've been talking about discrimination and segregation in employment and education and housing since 1968. This report came out in 68, family. And we still got governors and presidents and politicians talking about, fair housing. Still talking about, being able to get people in decent housing. Specifically, they use terms now, low income, minority, which is code for black. We've been talking about this since 1968. This is why I'm going to hold that point. So next thing, black in migration and white exodus which have produced the massive and growing concentrations of impoverished Negroes in our major cities, creating a growing crisis of deteriorating facilities and services and unmet human needs. So you're talking about black people who moved to the cities, and white people who moved out of the cities because they didn't want to be around black people, and the American government not putting the proper resources in those cities that would allow those cities to flourish like they did when white people were there. So it says that created a growing crisis of deteriorating facilities and services and unmet human needs. So you notice how at a certain time in the city, industrially, the factories had a lot of jobs. So there was something called the middle class, and you would be able to go if you had a skill, and you would be able to join the industrial you'll be able to join the industrial space, industrial economy, and be able to make a living for yourself living in the city. And then what happened, white people decided they didn't want to be living around black people, so they decided to move out to the suburbs. And when they moved out to the suburbs, so did the resources move out to the suburbs. Y'all didn't hear me. I said when white people moved out to the suburbs, the resources went with them. So when the resources went with them, now when you look at the inner cities of America, Detroit, Baltimore, DC, when you look at the inner cities of America, you see that the resources are not in the inner cities. You see that the projects in the ghetto is in the inner cities. You see that in the city you have deteriorating apartment buildings. You have deteriorating recreation centers. You have deteriorating schools. All of this is where there are large concentrations of black people. There's large concentrations of black people. And then out in the suburbs is where you got all the resources, where you got the big, beautiful schools, the beautiful libraries. You got the nice landscape, beautiful residences and residential communities and subdivisions and all that beautiful stuff all out in the suburbs. Why? Because that's where most white people stay. So that's where all the resources at, family. Come on, we're not making this up. It says the black ghettos where segregation and poverty converge on the young to destroy the opportunity and enforce failure. This is what's going on. This is what's happening in the inner cities with our youth. The black ghettos where segregation and poverty converge on the young to destroy opportunity and enforce failure. Enforce failure, family. It enforces failure. The environment creates an area where failure is the only option, except that you do what? Join a gang. Except that you do what? Sell drugs. Right? But when you do that, you fall to the mercy of inevitably coming into contact with law enforcement. And you know who they represent. We know law enforcement made their transition from overt to covert. So law enforcement went from slave catchers to police departments. So they went from overt slave catchers to covert policemen, supposedly, making the neighborhood safe. But they really are there to harass black people for the most part. And they get off harassing black people in the ghetto because you don't have this type of stuff going on in the suburbs because, number one, their police presence isn't as high because they don't have all this stuff going on. Number two, crime, drug addiction, dependency on welfare, and bitterness and resentment against society in general and white society in particular are the result. So because black people have become fed up, this is what you got going on. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that in order for there to be 100% change, there must be 100% dissatisfaction. In order for there to be 100% change, there must be 100% dissatisfaction. So what you see happening in our community today is you see the youth now are 100% dissatisfied. Well, Brother Cam, what are they 100% dissatisfied about? They dissatisfied with the dependency on welfare. They're dissatisfied with the lack of opportunity. They dissatisfied with the piss poor education. They dissatisfied with the drug addiction that has riddled the community. They dissatisfied with the drugs that was poured into the community that took a lot of the black men out. So this is the result that you have, the attitude attitude of the youth towards the white society in particular and society in general, because everything has been taken away from them so that they can enforce failure. You don't feel me today. But I'm telling you, this is why the conversation for reparations is so important. But we have to understand who we dealing with when we having this conversation, and don't let them get over on us talking about, well, we got to have a conversation and there has to be a study on reparations. No, every time someone tells you there needs to be a study on reparations, we can pull up the 1968 Kerner Commission report and tell them, no, there's been a study on reparations. We need our money. We need our land. We need our 40 acres in the mule, and we need it right now. We're not even playing these games. See, white people play too many damn games, and we don't have time for games today because the wealth gap is too big. It's too many lives at stake. We got too many future generations that are being born into this world. We don't have time to continue to fight the liberation struggle. I mean, damn, at what point are we going to not be fighting the liberation struggle? And this is why it's important that when white people or black people who want to throw white people into the conversation and say that they have to be involved in what's going on, which white people do have to be involved. I just believe their involvement should be different than what other people other people think their involvement should be. But when you bring them into the conversation, they can't do any talking. When you bring the enemy into the conversation, they can't do any talking. They need to be there to only listen 98% of the time, and 2% of the time ask a question for clarity. That's it. Anything else will not be tolerated because it's nothing for you to say. It's nothing for you to teach on. It's nothing for you to educate us on unless we ask for your help in a particular area. But that's the type of way that we as leadership have to deal with those people if you want to bring them to the conversation. We set the parameters. We make the environment where we control it. It's our table. You don't speak. Remember that scene in Wakanda when they went to the not the border tribe, but they went up there in the mountains. They went up there in the mountains with my mans in them. And they brought the CIA agent up there and he started running his mouth and they just toned him out. They was like, wait a second, bro, you don't talk. You don't do no talking. We do the talking here. And if we ask you a question, then you respond to the question. That's the way we have to handle that, family. We can't be sitting around here playing no games. We can't be sitting around here trying to be all politically correct. We can't be doing all that. See? We can't be doing none of that. Hold on, let me get in this comment section real quick, man. Peace and blessings to the family who's tapped in, man. Make sure you share this out. Make sure that you like. Make sure that you subscribe. English Lesson C1, absolutely. Man, we getting right to it. Walaikum salam, family. Yeah, I had to pull the comment section up real quick. Make sure everybody was tapped in, man. Make sure, again, like y'all liking, y'all sharing, y'all getting this out. So the Kerner Commission has laid all this out. So look, it says that the black ghettos where segregation and poverty converge on the young to destroy opportunity and enforce failure. Crime, drug addiction, dependency on welfare, and bitterness and resentment against society in general and white society in particular are the result. So this is why you hear from the black grassroots talk about we're not going to vote blue just to do. Like, we're not going to do that just to do something. You're not going to vote blue just to do. We're not going to vote Democrat just to be doing something. Well, you shouldn't be voting for the Republicans because they don't like black people. They don't even do nothing for us. You absolutely right. What we're saying in the black grassroots is that we are making our demand. Whoever steps up to the plate to meet our demand is who we're going to meet with. Is that clear? We're making a demand. Whoever steps up to the plate, who's willing to enter into negotiations based on our demand, is who we're going to have conversation with. We're not going with blue because of traditionalism. We're not going with blue because you march out a black face. We're not going with blue because you offer us some damn money. We're not doing none of that. We are making a demand, and whoever is willing to enter negotiations as it pertains to our demand is who we having a conversation with. That's just real. That's just real. So check this out. It says, at the same time, most whites and some Negroes outside the ghetto have prospered to a degree unparalleled in the history of civilization. Through television and other media, this affluence has been flaunted before the eyes of the Negro poor and the jobless ghetto youth. That's that one. That one, I'm gonna read that one again, because you don't understand how important that is to what you see going on, because it's speaking to the imagery. It says, at the same time that you got black ghettos where segregation and poverty converge on the young to destroy opportunity and enforce failure, you got whites, mostly whites, and some Negroes outside the ghetto have prospered to a degree unparalleled in the history of civilization. And let me give you some examples. You have the LeBron James of the world. You have the Oprahs of the world. You have the Michael Jacksons of the world. You have the Barack Obamas of the world. You have all of these different entertainers and athletes who have made it to unparalleled success. Some of them are billionaires, right? Lots of them are millionaires, right? And it says, through television and other media, this affluence has been flaunted before the eyes of the Negro poor and the jobless ghetto youth. So when you see, I'm going to show y'all this on the screen. It says it right here. At the same time, most whites and some Negroes outside the ghetto have prospered to a degree unparalleled in the history of civilization. Through television and other media, this affluence has been flaunted before the eyes of the Negro poor and the jobless ghetto youth. So when you ask what's wrong with the youth, and you say, well, they just want to sell drugs, they just want fast money, they just want to do this, that, and the third. Well, duh, because what's been flaunted in front of them through television and other media is the affluence of the very few, of the mostly white and the very few that look like them, and put that lifestyle out there that everybody aspires to get. So now, because they haven't been afforded the opportunities to get it the legal way, they haven't been afforded the opportunities to get a skill that would allow them to make money the legal way. They haven't been allowed to learn business so they can become successful entrepreneurs the legal way. The only option they have is for the street. So they go into business in the street. And even though they are the ones, and they have become agents and become the ones who are the agents of chaos in their community through the selling of drugs, they're also businessmen because they're making money and they're reaching the level of success that they see the ones on television reaching. But you blame them for wanting to obtain the success, but you don't blame the system that created the environment that allowed them to have to go the illegal route, then providing the opportunity so they can go the legal route. Come on, man. It's real talk. It's real talk, family. It's real talk. So the reparations conversation got to be like this. Look, we don't have time to be playing around. We don't have time to be tiptoeing around the issues. We don't have time for no new reports. We don't have no time for none of that, because the 1968 Kerner report put it in place. It's so much more to get into this. So we're going to do a part 2 on this, because we in the election cycle right now anyway. So this is very, very important. You understand me? So we're going to double back on the part 2 on this, family. So this is very important. We also got to get into what the messenger gave us, because he laid out a plan and a blueprint for reparations. Gave us the Muslim blueprint. This is what we got to get: land, and we got to get that cash payments. The minister said we need both. Yeah. You're going to have to pay that money, but you got to come up off that land. We got to have them states, them 7 to 10 states that have an outlet to the sea. You understand me? That got an outlet to the sea. That's minerally rich. Yeah, we got to have all that. All right. So I thank you all for listening, tuning in to the campaign TV show tonight. I know we didn't go as long as we normally do. But I had to switch cameras, as you can see. Got a lot of stuff going on. But I had to switch cameras, as you can see, because the battery died. And yeah. But we're gonna get more into this conversation next week, part 2. So make sure you stay tapped in. Make sure you text the word podcast to 404-737-1030 so that you can become a part of the community and that you can be tapped in each and every episode that we have going on with the Campaign TV Show podcast family. So I appreciate you for watching and listening. And man, I'll leave you in the greeting words of peace if we say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum.
Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me, I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we was